Hi everyone, my name is Ben Robitaille and I'm back with your monthly market update for September for Simcoe County and parts of South Muskoka. As we dive back into a new school year, the real estate market is holding pretty steady over the summer and into the new year. The last announcement from the Bank of Canada was that there would be no rate change for this month, meaning that buyers who are trying to get into the market are no longer on such a tight timeline with having to move before their interest rate holds are coming up to expire. Without further ado, let's dive into specific communities, and at the end of the video we'll zoom out and look at Simcoe County as a whole to see if we can extrapolate a bigger picture of what is actually going on in the real estate market. So starting off with Midland, the average sale price in Midland actually rose in August, going from $551,000 in July up to $603,000 for August. Number of new listings stayed pretty consistent, going from 51 to 52. Our sales went from 19 to 36, so a pretty significant increase here, a little bit more activity. If we look at percentage of original list price, this is the difference between where the listing started and what the house actually sold for. We actually dropped from 97.6% to 95.6%. I usually like to see this between 95 and 100. I just feel like houses are priced more appropriately. Will sell closer to that list price and hopefully be around that 95 to 100 mark. Next, let's look over to Penetang. So the average sale price rose here as well, going from 610 to 650. Number of sales here is usually quite low. So yeah, we went from 11 to 14. So even though sales are up, in terms of our average sale price, take it with a grain of salt because there aren't that many sales to really contribute to that number. Number of new listings also increased, going from 21 in July to 27 in August. And finally, if we look at percentage of original list price, we're right between 95 and 100, going from 97.2 to 97. So pretty good looking pricing strategies out there. Now moving along to Tiny. Average sale price here does fluctuate quite a bit based on whether or not Waterfront is selling a lot more that month. In the summer, usually we'll see a few spikes if some higher end properties are selling, affecting that number. You can see we had an average sale price of $987 for July. That rose to $894 for August. The number of sales rose slightly as well, going from 19 to 22. The number of new listings went from 58 to 66. So typically you see in the summer months, a lot more gets listed in Tiny. It is a coastal community. It does have a lot of waterfront properties, a lot of cottages, so that's normal to see for this area. And finally, if we look at percentage of original list price, we actually dipped slightly below that 95 mark. We went from 95.7 in July to 94.3 in August. So what this means, if you're a buyer out there, know that list price on average, if it's not priced appropriately, you'll pay about 95% of that number. Very different case by case, depends on the property. Your local realtor should be able to give you a good idea of what their opinion of the value is. Next, moving along to Tay Township, including Port McNicoll, Victoria Harbour, Wabasheen. Average sale price here increased as well from $627 to $719 for August. Number of sales also saw an increase, going from 14 to 18. The number of new listings actually decreased here, going from 43 in July to 36 in August. But that's, is still a fair number. And finally, if we look at percentage of original list price, again, dipping slightly below that 95 mark. So from 95.6 in July to 94.7 in August. Next, we'll move over to Severn. So Severn saw a decrease in their average sale price, going from $948,517 down to $829,545. Now, Severn does have a lot of waterfront property as well. So depending on the month, you'll see here, December had a huge spike. May had a huge spike. That's because those waterfront high-end homes that go for multi-million dollars are selling. So that's going to skew your numbers and why you'll see those abnormalities there. Next, if we go over to sales, we had 24 in July. We went up to 29 for August. New listings decreased, going from 68 to 55 for August. And finally, if we look at percentage of original list price, we actually dipped quite low this month, going from 96.6% in July to 94.1% in August. Now, my feeling on this, and this is not based in anything whatsoever, it's just sort of a gut instinct is as we get to the end of summer, most people want to be done with whatever real estate transaction they're doing before kids go back to school and we get into the routine of, September all the way to Christmas. So sometimes people can be a little bit more motivated to get a deal done at the end of the summer. Keep moving on over to Aurelia. So average sale price in Aurelia rose from $674 up to $695 for August. Now the number of sales decreasing here, going from 42 to 37 last month. The number of new listings, pretty sharp decrease. We had 101 in July for Aurelia, down to 77 for August. Now, Aurelia usually does have your typical highs and lows, but if we look at last year, we had a fair number going into September. I think some sellers here are maybe, trying to wait out the market and see what's going to happen. Not selling unless you really have to. And last, if we look at percentage of original list price, things are looking good. 96.8% in July, 98.2% in August. Pretty good pricing out there. Let's look at Springwater. So Springwater saw a decrease in their average sale price, going from just over 1.05 million in July down to 952 in August. Now, Springwater does have some larger acreage properties. Can affect things a little bit, but it is a large geographical area, so it really depends on what's selling that particular month. Sales are up from 19 to 25, still a relatively low number to pull average prices from. The number of new listings here also increased, going from 70 to 74 last month. And finally, percentage of original list price jumped up from 92.8% to 97.8% for August. Looking at Oro-Medonte, average sale price saw a decrease here as well, going from just over 1.08 million in July down to 895 in August. Now sales here also particularly low, 19 down to 14. Hard to really pull anything from that average sale price. If we look at the number of new listings, also a slight decrease, going from 53 down to 50 for August. And finally, if we look at percentage of original list price, 93.1% over to 93.8% last month. Now let's look at Barrie. Pretty big numbers here. We can usually pull a little bit more information just because of the volume of information we have. So the average sale price here decreased as well, going from 774 in July down to 720 in August. And the number of sales also saw a pretty significant decrease, going from 165 down to 136. If we look at the number of new listings, also down, going from 343 to 303. Now, something to keep in mind, 303 new listings, 136 sales. So less than half of houses that are coming onto the market are selling within that first month. Just something to keep in mind if you're thinking about selling in Barrie or surrounding area. If you list today, it might not be sold this month. It might take a little bit longer than we were expecting a year ago. And finally, percentage of original list price. Barrie's usually been pretty good here. 98.9% in July down to 97.8% in August. No problems with that at all. Right now we'll move it on over to Wasaga Beach. So the average sale price in Wasaga Beach dropped here as well, $692 in July down to $678 in August. The number of sales here also saw a decrease, down from 60 to 52 for August. Number of new listings also increasing here, going from 118 in July to 128. So again, about half the houses coming on the market are selling each month. And finally, if we look at percentage of original list price, going from 95.1% to 94.9%. So I would like to see it above 95, but I can't really be too angry at that. And finally, let's look at Collingwood. So the average sale price in Collingwood rose from $869 in July up to $891 in August. Number of sales decreased, however, going from 46 to 37 for last month. New listings are also down, going from 109 to 101. So pretty small decrease, but once again, if you compare it to sales, less than half of the new homes hitting the market are selling within that month. And finally, percentage of original list price, we're back above 95, so that's good news. So 93.7 in July, up to 95.9% in August. Finally, let's zoom out, put all our numbers together, and see if we can pull a general trend out of what's happening in the market. So if we look at Simcoe County as a whole, we can see the average sale price is decreasing. So we were at 805,378 for July. We're down to 764,539 for August. Now we are seeing more inventory come on the market than there are sales. But because the last really 2 years we've been in such a period of transition in the real estate market, there's a lot of adjusting expectations on both the buying and selling side that need to be factored in all along the way. So if we look at the number of sales, slight decrease here as well, 550 in July down to 508 in August. Not a very significant decrease in my opinion. Really nothing to worry about here as of right now. New listings are also down, going from 1273 down to 1197. And finally, percentage of original list price, pretty good, 96.6%, 96.2%. Nothing to be upset about there. So that's your monthly market update for the month of September. If you have any specific real estate questions, you want to dive into this a little bit more with me, you can actually book an appointment right into my calendar using the link in the description. Always happy to make time to chat about real estate. Whether you're just curious about it or you're thinking to make a move in the next future, I'm happy to help. I've got contacts all over Canada, so if you need help making your next move, we're here to point you in the right direction. Well, that's it for me. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.